GTPA Practice number 3. Now, practice number 3, I think, is the easiest one to do. Now, I'm just saying, do what it says. Don't alter it. Just do what it asks you to do. And what it's asking you to do is select and use a variety of assessment tools. Provide feedback, make judgments, and engage in moderation of work. So the first two are formative type assessment. The last two is the relates to the summative assessment. This is what you need to do with reference to your whole class. So it talks about formative sub-assessment, reference to your class. Okay, whole lot of stuff about formative assessment, arriving at a decision. Reference to your 3 focus students, you analyse a work sample, you apply the standards like a rubric, you write some cognitive commentary about that, and so on. I think the need to submit and require evidence is more important. So it requires you to present how you engage with assessment, use formative tasks, summative tasks, make judgments, and moderate. Great. Okay. Required accompanying evidence. The identified samples of student work, annotated statement of criteria, cognitive commentary, 1 paragraph, and evidence of moderation, and there's a form. So we need to do what it says. Assessment tools, this is the formative mainly, feedback, and then the summative task. Give me a rubric, give me the judgment, give me cognitive commentary, and moderate. Let's go in. So practice number 3, a variety of assessments tools. Formative tools, examples of here. It's an evidentiary report, so I'm going to see a discussion and evidence. Initial pretest, talked about it already, no need to re-evidence it. Starter activities, gave me some feedback. Here's an example, annotated. Assessment drafts, here's an example. When they submitted, there's what they were. Checkpoints, check for understandings. Observing, observations, and quizzes. Exit tickets, here's some explanation, here's some example. Homework, I wanted to mark that. But have they answered a variety of assessment tools? Yes, they have. Let's go and see what they've got feedback. Summative assessment too, they also mentioned the summative assessment that's there. And here was the summative assessment. Section 2, feedback. Regular monitoring of progress. Here's some written feedback. Here's an example of some written feedback that I did. Here's another example of written feedback. It's pretty clear that it's not extensive, but did I provide feedback? Yeah, I did. The worst ones I see, unfortunately, saying I just provided and I went around the classroom and I monitored and gave verbal feedback. Well, I need evidence of your verbal feedback. I'm suggesting you need both verbal, but you need to provide evidence of written feedback for this section. Making judgment on the quality of works. Now the summative assessment. Student A, here's their work sample. Here's some annotations about it. Here's some further annotations on their work sample. Here's an ISMG, which is obviously prescribed by the school. And it went through, and they got 18 out of 20. It's quite a high mark, isn't it? And here's the criteria being used. And this is important now, the cognitive commentary. It says what they achieved, sure, but what does it say? So the most basic cognitive commentary about what are they? The strengths, what is the weakness? That's what improvements you need to do. So do we get strengths? Yes, clear strength is to improve. Some weaknesses could do that. So could be slightly longer cognitive commentary. Now student B, similarly. So you do this prescript B for your 3 focused students and provide the cognitive commentary. Student C, evidence, annotations, rubric, cognitive commentary. This one's slightly better. It's got more information. Now moderation of work. This is a mandatory requirement found in the form section of GTPA, reflecting on the relationship of 2 grades. What feedback will you give to parents? What did you learn about this process? What happens if your grade was exactly the same as the assessor? No adjustment. Can I say that's not adequate? What you need to say is no adjustment because, and you list why you agree. And you do that for all 3. But they have sufficiently identified what's required. So, did they? Variety of assessment, yes. Feedback, yes. Did they make judgments using rubrics and achievement standards? Yes, they did. Did they moderate? Yes, they did. Strong performance. Let's have a now look at the primary exam. through replacement, this is what I did. Assessment. Now, they don't need to do this approach, but they've organised an assessment for learning, assessment of learning. So that's your formative assessment. Examples were exit tickets, observations, SPO drafts, booklet, word examples, individual writing. Now, they have evidence individual writing. They haven't evidenced some of these. So an improvement for this person might be to insert an exit ticket, for example. I'm now looking for learning summative task. So they've written all the information on the summative task, and here's some feedback that they provided. Here's a marking rubric. Here's a cognitive commentary. They've done for A, they've done for B, they've done for C, and then they should show me moderation. Now, I don't think it's done well. This doesn't look neat and tidy. I would suggest you type in, that's really minimal requirements here. So also, they haven't specifically addressed feedback as distinct to feedback on the summative task. So that's your formative assessment. And here's a feedback example, very low level. So if I go back to the rubric, I think they've got a range of assessment tools and practices, but I think they have only, or even not quite achieved that criteria. Yes, they've made judgments, and yes, they have moderate. So they've got 3 solids and maybe a half on this section. It's still a net. It's still solid net overall, but could be improved. So both samples have done what's required, but in each instance, slightly under one aspect of